So what is up, guys? Welcome to Late Night Shots, episode 14. And today we'll be talking about the Nebraska Huskers. They've been one of the most under-the-radar teams, honestly, coming into this season. They're ranked number 5 right now. Of course, you have Michigan and Cornell coming in. A lot of redshirts coming back. A lot of incoming freshmen coming in. Of course, they're going to be the top 2 teams to watch this year. But everybody's really looking past Nebraska, honestly. They have a solid team throughout, no real weak points, but they don't really have those studs to the point where they're guaranteed national title winners. And of course, you have Penn State and Iowa falling 3 and 4. Guys who are usually the top dogs in the field, as you saw Iowa and Penn State last year. And in an interesting twist, we have Ohio State all the way down to number 8 right now. So that's pretty interesting to see how this plays out. I think all these teams can make a push, right? Nebraska is obviously going to be led by captains Chad Redd at 141 and Taylor Venz at 184. 2 of the seniors on the team, 2 of the most consistent guys there in years past. So, yeah, Derek. So if we're gonna
we're talking about the Nebraska Cornhuskers today. Let's go ahead and just might as well get started with ranked number 20 in the nation at 125 pounds, Liam Cronin. Not a guy I know much about.
So I've seen Liam Cronin wrestle a little bit. I mean, he's obviously not. I don't think he's going to be an All-American, you know. I'm not sure where Gray's in. I think he's pretty young. I'm pretty sure he wrestled last year. He's a decently solid dude. He's going to win you matches. But again, in a conference like the Big Ten, I think it's wide open at 125. I think anybody can really get the bids to the national tournament after Spencer Lee. I don't really see any solid guys, you know, except for maybe Devin Schroeder of Purdue, which is a guy to look at, right? He made the Big Ten finals against Spencer Lee. But I think really all those spots after that are pretty much open for anybody to take. So I do think he does qualify for nationals. I think he's an extremely tough dude with an extremely tough Nebraska wrestling room this year. So I think he has the toughness to get it through. I think he's going to grind out. He could go anywhere, honestly, in my opinion, from 3rd to 5th if he has a solid tournament, right? He does that, he makes the Big Ten national tournament. I think he's probably going to fall right around that 20 seed. So I think he's ranked appropriately, honestly, at this point. I think he wins a match. He may be able to finesse the second win. But do I think he gets to that blood round or All-American status? No, not this year. Hopefully in the future, you know. 125 is a weight class where you really only have 5 absolute studs that really secure their spots up there in Spencer Lee, Pat Glory, Vito Arujau, Brandon Patesville, maybe not even him. So you really only got 3 guys that are up there, you know. With the departure of Nick Piccinini from Oklahoma State, he's out, right? I think it's completely open, honestly.
100% agree with that. Like you said, Lee basically secured the number 1 spot. I don't see anyone coming near him.
You know, I think he's pretty upsettable. Pat Glory and Vito are coming in off some hot streaks. And he usually gets to go down the national tournament, which is pretty tough.
Yeah. Talking about wrestling right now, honestly, just to put this out there, would be so much easier if we wrestled a national tournament this season.
Yeah, no, of course. You have nothing really to go off of. Pat Glory dominated his way to EIWA title, especially dominated his way to the Big Ten title. Essentially major Nick Piccinini, right? You would be able to go off that. Piccinini was second-ranked, dude. But Pat Glory beat Nick Piccinini, so I think it would be a pretty close match, you know. Spencer Lee only won 9-5 last time. Of course, Spencer Lee was going through a couple of things, you know. He came back to win the national tournament over Jack Mueller. Pat Glory only took 6th, you know. But that was probably the most stacked I've ever seen the 125 field, be completely honest. You know, except for that year, when was it, where Nick Sirianni and Spencer Lee made the finals just the year before, you know. You have guys like Darian Cruz, Ethan Lezak in that field. And Spencer Lee just dominate throughout, really.
Definitely.
And Nathan Tomasello, he was who I was missing from Ohio State, right? I think this year it's really only the top 3 guys really even secured. I don't think Brandon Patesville will get upset. I think he's a solid 4th pick. And then guys like other people, like Liam Cronin, Malik Heinzelman, what's his name from? And then Devin Schroeder. I think all these guys are going to be competing for the bids.
Robert Howard.
I think a lot of these guys, Robert Howard too from Penn State, he was who I was missing. A lot of these guys are going to be competing for spots 3 to 5. I think Devin Schroeder showed me enough that I think he's going to make the Big Ten finals next year against unless a stud freshman comes out like Robert Howard. He's a big boomer bust guy, in my opinion. I think Spencer Lee's going to cruise through the national tournament to the national finals. May have his hands full with Brandon Pates or Vito or Pat Glory in the semis if that does happen. I think they go full 6 minutes with him. Those are pretty tough guys, but I think, again, Liam Cronin is a solid dude. I think he will qualify for the national tournament again. These guys tend to do very good when their team is doing good. These average dudes. So I think this is a guy who would be able to put together. I think he comes away with one win at nationals. He gets to Wrestleback too. I think it's really a toss-up right there, depending on who his matchup was with. It really comes down to a lot of style matchups to that. Because a lot of matches there are won by 1 point because you really don't have any studs in this field that I could see being upset in the first round of the tournament. So that's going to be my final thing for Liam Cronin.
Yeah, I mean, right seeding, right tournament, I do think we'll see him end the season higher than 25 rank.
He's ranked 20th.
Or 20th, sorry. I think we can see him move up.
I see him ending up around 15 at the highest, honestly. I don't think he's a guy who's going to shock you too much. I think he's ranked maybe just the slightest bit lower than he should be, but I don't see much of anything really happening there. I think he's going to be a solid guy. He's going to be a staple. He's not going to be a guy who's going to give up a lot of upsets. I think he's a guy who can hold it close with a lot of these better guys. Maybe not Spencer Lee because a lot of people tried. Many have failed. I think against a guy like Pat Glory, Robert Howard, he's going to be able to, and Devin Schroeder, Vito Aruja, and Brandon Pate, so he's going to be able to hold it really close against them, which is going to help them a lot at the 125 weight class, where there's either an absolute stud most of the time or there's a guy who's just average. He's going to be able to grind out those tough wins.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He's somebody who will help them out a lot in the duels. And, that's pretty much it. Like we're saying, Nebraska's on a roll. Good tournament, good matchup. We could see him on the podium. But I'm going to put him in the blood round.
Yeah, it's very possible you could see him on the podium. But a lot of times these matchups are not going to fall your way if you don't have a great seed. Because there's always going to be a higher seed upset at a tournament. You see it all the time. If there isn't, against the odds, 125 has never really been a weight class where guys don't get upset these lighter weights. Yeah, so that's the final for Liam Cronin at 125. He's ranked number 20th. I think he goes 1-2 or 2-2 in nationals. I don't think he makes it super far, and I think he ends off coming into next season probably ranked around 10 to 15 next season. I think he ends off the season around 15th probably. Gets to the rest of back 16, So we'll go right into 133, which is a guy that I really want to talk about. Ranked 12th in the country, Ridge Lovett. Go.
Ridge Lovett coming in, getting that starting spot at 133. Another tough kid who's definitely going to help Nebraska in the duel. And this is somebody, 133, depending on how everything plays out and who goes which weight from 33 to 41, I do think there is a possibility we could see Ridge Lovett break the top 10 and see himself in a 7th and 8th place match. Somebody that is honestly going to be Nebraska's this is somebody who's going to have to be on the podium for Nebraska to fight for a team title, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Again, 133 is going to be a bloodbath. The top 12 guys as of listen, Of course, you got Stevan Mijic, Sebastian Rivera, and Dayton Fix, top 3. There's no real argument about that. And then you have Sammy Alvarez from Rutgers, RBY from Penn State, Austin DeSanto, of course, from there, Austin Gomez, Mickey Philippi, and that's 8, right? And then guys like Montorie Bridges from Wyoming, Robert Howard. No, not Robert Howard.
Brady Berge.
We're talking about 133.
Yeah, Brady Berge.
It's 157.
No, for clearance 57.
Bergeron's 49. I'm talking about 33 right now, bro.
Oh, RBY wrestles 33.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about Penn State. I'm talking about other teams.
Oh, okay.
Ridge Lovett, I think, is probably going to be sitting right around that 9 spot. It's going to come down to he's a big Greco dude, right? He's had close matches with all these guys. Yeah, honestly. Oh, Cade Brock is who I was missing from Oklahoma State. He hasn't been too reliable in past years. Hopefully, coming down a couple weight classes, he can get this, I think Cade Brock can probably find himself on the podium. Who knows? Again, Cade Brock is a guy. I think if Cade Brock, Mickey Philippi, Austin Gomez, no, not Austin Gomez, Montorie Bridges find themselves against Rich Lovett in the blood round, I think Lovett will get in the podium. A good matchup that I'd really love to see is a guy like Austin Gomez versus Rich Lovett. Two big Greco dudes love to throw. I think there's going to be a bunch of fireworks in that match. I think a guy who else, if they meet in the blood round, could be a very good matchup for Rich Lovett would be Austin DeSanto. A guy who to get thrown, a guy who loves to push into you. Could be some big fireworks for him, but I could also see.
We'll see that in a duel. I think there definitely will be a Nebraska-Iowa duel. So
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So finally, I'm gonna go and say that depending on the team does, I think Ridge Lovett's a blood round guy or a seventh, eighth guy. I saw a lot of solid stuff from him last year, but again, you have to realize how tough the weight class of 133 is and how much depth there really is to it, right? I think top three are going to be secured with Sebastian Rivera, Stevan Micic, and Dayton Fix, right? But I think anything from 4 to 12 is going to be
4 to 12 is going to be a toss-up.
I do think Alvarez and RBY take 4th and 5th, and then anybody from there, really. But that could honestly go any way, in my opinion,
Who knows? We could have somebody like Dayton Fix come back and end up in 4th place. We could see Micic come back and end up in 4th place. I doubt that. I again will say it again. I say it every video. My pick is Stevan Micic at 133. I think he comes back and just
I got Sebastian Rivera. He's riding a hot streak. This is his year to put together. But, yeah, I think the same thing for Micic. I think if it comes down to a close match, Dayton Fix does not win it. It ends up with Micic versus Rivera in the finals.
Yeah.
That's just going to be my opinion right there. If we're going to go with final picks, I am going to have Ridge Lovett in the 7th, 8th match. I think it depends on who he wrestles there,
Yeah. I think you could see him against a guy like Montorie Bridges.
On the blood round. I think those guys are honestly going to come down to Austin DeSanto, Mickey Philippi, Austin Gomez, or Montorie Bridges. I think he has a good match against all these guys except Austin Gomez. The odds are in his favor. I think he goes to 7th, 8th match. I think he wins it.
I agree.
Because I think it's going to be a guy like Mickey Philippi, which is a guy who's just tough on top. That's all it is. From the neutral position, I think Ridge Love is going to be a lot more dominant on him. And I think it's Lovett's match to take. Coming off a strong freshman season, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with for future years once his 133 weight class starts to die out.
Yeah. So, Ridge Love at 133. Yeah. Moving right along here, we have ranked number 5 at 141, Chad Red. Obviously, disappointing we don't get to see an NCAA tournament from the past season because I honestly think Chad Red would have 100% been in that 3rd and 4th scenario. Now with Yanni coming back and, Nick Lee's there and everybody else that's at 141, I think we will see Chad Red on a podium 100%. Yeah. But this, again, is going to be something that is upsetting.
In my opinion, he's not a guy you're going to catch and throw with anything big unless you're Dom Demas, which specializes in the inside trip and throws. Pin Chad Red with it. What I'm going to say is Chad Red, you put him against these higher-level guys, he's not a guy that's going to be able to compete too well. He's going to be a guy who's acceptable to giving up points because what I've seen from these guys at 141, their defense is not too great. And that's even speaking on guys like Nick Lee, right? A guy like Yanni, why he does so well in this weight class is because he's so hard to score on. His counter game is so good. Goes to overtime with Joey McKenna in a match. Like, you wouldn't think he would, right? Joey McKenna gets in on a shot, rolls through. Yanni somehow comes up with a leg and hits that front trip, take him down. I think the guy with the best defense is probably going to be the front runner for his weight class. But I think Nick Lee's high-powered offense could really offset that. The volume of shots, Nick Lee's ability to finish, very good. But obviously that means nothing unless you do it on a guy like Yanni, right? Yeah. But with Chad Red's 5th place ranking, number 5 ranking, according to Flow, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where he should stand. Again, with Yanni at number 1, Nick Lee at number 2, Maximilian at number 3, and Dom Demas at number 4, right? Yeah. They have all beaten him. I think the one guy that he could take out is going to be Maximilian. But I think Murin's coming off a very phenomenal season, a very underrated season in my opinion. And I think he does super good coming into this, right? That's just my opinion. I think Maximilian doesn't have a bid to take out Nick Lee or Yanni, of course. But I think those two are basically solid. They're heading to the finals unless we see a spectacular upset. I think Murin does come in strong. I think he's going to take that third spot. I think Demas is a real toss-up again with Red, even though we pinned him last time. I think that match could go either way, but what I do think, I think he's ranked number 5th. I think he takes 5th.
Yeah, I mean,
Tariq Wilson on the thing from NC State, and he pinned Tariq Wilson in about 40 seconds. He took a shot, locked up that cradle, and rolled it and stuck him. But then Dom Demas pinned him. So this is a real weight class where, again, except for these guys who are very technically superior, and Nick Lee, Yanni Diakomahalis, and him, I don't think you're going to see anybody get stuck. I've seen Yanni get put in a cradle and almost stuck by Jaden Ironman, but, if Jaden Ironman were in this weight class, would be the exact same thing because Max Muir weren't there. I just flip Ironman and Nick Lee. But I think he's ranked 5th. I think he's going to take 5th. That's just my view on it.
Yeah, I mean, is another guy who, like you said earlier in the video, a captain, one of the most important guys on this Nebraska lineup. You're going to I think you have to see him in a top 4 situation if Nebraska is going to want to place in the top 4.
Okay, I'm going to say I don't think that because of the reason this weight class has basically solidified itself. There's no real guys I see breaking into this. And with other guys that we're talking about, guys I think that are particularly underranked, I'm not going to name them yet because we're going to get to them, right? I think if they have a good season, cap off a match or 2 in nationals, Nebraska will take that top 5 ranking. Do I think there's a chance to take out any other teams? Not really, in my opinion. That's just how it is. I think Cornell's going to be the most acceptable team because I think they're going to be the one team that's not really bringing as many guys as the other teams to nationals.
And I think we did talk about this earlier on the phone, like when we start talking about their upper weights. Yeah. I mean, you think about it the right way, and these guys start wrestling tough. You could have a murderer's row situation in the higher weights.
100%.
Especially when it comes to duels, if you're down and then you got bang, 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 bang from 74 down.
That's what it was with my high school team,
We were just talking about the heavyweight. He's not ranked too great, but he's a strong kid. Yeah. He is strong.
We just saw that too.
Yeah.
So the same thing with my high school team. Lightweights weren't all that, and then once we got into that 170, 182, 95, 220 heavyweight, we were all pinners. Really. That's really what it was.
Yeah.
So I think Chad Redd's ranked 5th, takes 5th. I think it's the appropriate ranking. You can't rank him any higher. There's really no way you can rank him any lower than that. Pretty much solidified weight class in the top 5. That's how it plays out. You could see a guy like Dom Demas making a push for the finals, but he's the only real guy I see getting throws off on guys. Maybe like Nick Lee, a guy who he's beat before. But I think Nick Lee is so far advanced in this thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if Chad Redd's going to be anybody, it's going to be Max Muir and Dom Demas, though.
Yeah, I don't think
Nick Lee or Yanni are guys that are going to get caught. Because you've seen Yanni put in dangerous situations before. He's gotten out of them. Yeah, so I think he places 5th. What do you think?
Yeah, I could agree with that. 1 through – now, honestly, 3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's fine. I don't see him placing any lower. I really don't think there's a chance.
Wow.
But that's also saying he performs up to par. He has a decent turn. So, yeah. Let's go into 149, ranked number 19 in the country. Freshman, right? Yeah, we have freshman Kayvon Davenport, which he was a huge recruit coming out of high school. He could be doing some big things. I really don't know. I haven't seen anything too crazy out of him. I think the ranking 19, they're going to play freshman rankings. They're going to play them safe.
Yeah.
Because guys like Spencer Lee were ranked 15th coming into this weight class. Tony Cassiope's ranked about 20th. Greg Kirkflit's ranked 16th. Gable is ranked about 10th or 12th,
Yeah.
So you see him ranked number 1 in the Big Ten, but that was only because he had a win over Pat Lugo in his redshirt season. These are guys that are true freshmen, I think, that are coming into the field. So that's honestly a big thing you can see, right? I think Kayvon Davenport does do a little bit better than the ranking he's given. So
100%. I think he definitely is going to move up.
9 weight class only has 2 guys in it that are true competitors in the Big Ten, which are going to be Jaden Ironman and Sammy Sasson. That's going to be a bloodbath the entire season. I do think Ironman's going to take that victory every time, just because he's older, more mature, and he has better gas tank and technique. Honestly, I think Ironman's just excelled to the level. I think he's trying to get away from a guy like Yanni Diakmahalis, a guy that's not a good matchup for him. He's the only guy to ever beat Yanni.
And I think that, again, that's somebody like we saw. Where is Ironman up at 149 now?
I think so. That's where I think he's gonna go. That's where
Honestly, that's a smart move for him. With Yanni coming back at 41, where we talked about in a different video with these guys coming back, you have to look at their Olympic weight compared to their
I think
weight.
he's gonna be a small 149, but I think he's still gonna be the top dog there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a smart move for him.
Iowa
Yanni coming back, Nick Lee, Yanni. That's your top two. Does Ironman break those top two apart?
Ironman majored Nick Lee.
Again, yes, correct.
So what I would think is if he didn't transfer, he transferred to Iowa for the practice partners. Just my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm guessing. If he stays at Mizzou, he's still second in the country at 141. But now they run into that problem with if they can get they have Jaden Ironman and Max Murin, right? And Max Murin's at 141. Max Murin basically, I think, places third every time. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Jaden Ironman at 141 places second every time.
Yeah.
But Max Murin at 149 places third every time, behind Sammy Sasson and Austin O'Connor. That's what I'm gonna say. But you put in a guy like Jaden Ironman that way because I think he plays first every time. That's where I think he's gonna be most successful, right? Mm-hmm. I think Austin O'Connor is a guy who's very susceptible, can be blown wide open in points. Sammy Sasson, I don't think is a guy like that, but I think Jaden Ironman is going to be the guy that can figure out how to put points on him. Mm-hmm. I think Jaden Ironman beats him by solid at least 3 points. And that match is never in danger. Sammy Sasson could have a big glow up from last year, but he was already a top guy, But he's a guy who you've seen can be caught and pinned, as he did by Brent Moore for Virginia Tech, which is basically the reason Virginia Tech won that duel.
Yeah, we definitely got to do a Virginia Tech video because they got some hammers too.
Yeah, no, of course we will. We got some other teams to get to first. We got a lot of time before the season starts,
Oh, yeah, plenty of time. Yeah, we're probably going to post about.
Hope you guys enjoy it. If you got this far in the video, we really appreciate it.
Yeah. So, what do you think your final touch on Chad Red, right? Yeah, Kayvon Davenport. What do you think?
Since there's only 2 guys in the Big Ten, he does take a bid. I think he's one of those extremely athletic dudes that can finesse a lot of matches against a lot of these veteran guys who are just going to brawl it out, right? As you see in the weight class before, like Pat Lugo was a big one. Guy who never – if Pat Lugo majored you, you sucked. He either pins you or decisions you, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he does take that bid to nationals. He's ranked about 19th. I think he gets around like 13, 14 seed in my opinion. And I think he's a guy who could very well finesse his way into the blood round. But I don't think he does. I think he gets around 16. He's a freshman. I think he gets beaten by – I think somebody good really gets upset here. And then he has a tough match in round 16. No matter what, obviously, right? But I think that match, he's just going to – a lot of freshmen have tough times in these national tournaments. That's just my thing.
Yeah.
He's not a guy you've seen before, obviously seen before that much. I've obviously seen a good share of him, but that's where I think he falls in the wrestle back 3 round of 16.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with that. I mean, maybe a push to the blood round, maybe, but I don't think this is one of those guys that you're going to have to say makes it to the podium for them. Does he qualify, wins a couple, maybe match or 2? That's big. That's big for him. He qualifies, wins a match or 2.
I think if he gets to the blood round, that's going to boost him up a lot. Because as you've seen, Cornell does not have a solid dude at 149. Michigan has Kane in store. I think for this to happen, and you obviously Penn State has Gerard Verclair, and who's going to fall around the round of 16 or blood round, in my opinion. But a guy like Jaden Ironman's taking the title. Yeah. Nobody's knocking him off. He's pretty much irrelevant to the situation right now. It can be Kane in store, Gerard Verclair, and him. I don't even think Cornell brings their guy to nationals. I think even if they do, he falls in the round of 24, round of 32 most likely. I think it's between this guys. I think if Kayvon Davenport can beat Gerard Verclaren or Caden Storr, I think that's a big thing, right? Because Caden Storr is a guy I said who's going to place 7th or 8th. I think Caden Storr versus Kayvon Davenport is a very good matchup for him. So, if he gets the right matches, I think it's very possible that he becomes an All-American. But a lot of times it's not going to play out in your favor. And I'm just going to go with statistics and chance right here. I think he falls in the round of 16 or blood round.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
But sometimes you catch fire, And something you always see about catching fire, it's always the insanely athletic dudes.
Yeah, always. You saw it with Mekhi Lewis.
Yeah, Kai Lewis, Jason Nolf his freshman year, pinning Isaiah Martinez. Cameron Caffey, a guy who was ranked 20-something coming into the season, knocked off Abe Assad, knocked off whoever in the Big Ten Finals, almost beat Aaron Brooks, a guy who I thought was going to win the national title last year, even before coming into the season. I'm like, if this guy got his retro pulled, he's winning it. A guy like Kyle Cornell wasn't super athletic, but, it's more of these fearless dudes who are willing to go for anything. Kyle Cornell pinned Colin Moore, Mike, people don't talk about this, but Mike Machiavello, who won that title last year, who won that title at 197 that year, pinning Kyle Cornell. That's huge, right? See guys like Amar Desi made a huge push his year. Pat Glory, guy you don't talk about, but Austin DeSanto, guys who were fearless. I'm gonna say that, right?
Austin DeSanto's not fearless. He's a lunatic.
Yeah, but I know
All right. So
but he's fearless in the sense he'll charge it and he'll do anything from neutral. He just sucks at bottom.
Yeah, that takes us to 157, where they have
Bubba Wilson.
30 in the nation, Bubba Wilson.
Bubba Jensen pinned David Taylor. You still mad about that?
Just a little bit.
That's hands down one of the biggest upsets I've ever seen.
100%.
I put up a poll on my thing. I'm like, which is the best pin in the NCAA finals? Upset pin. Kyvan Gadsden was was seeded 3rd and Kyle Snyder 4th, right? But I think that was still an upset in the sense that Kyle Snyder actually was the reason Jaden Cox could not win a 4th national title. So you would think at least one of them would, and then Kyle Snyder proceeds to get outside tripped and pinned, right? And then Bubba Jenkins hit David Taylor with that roll through cradle. I think, and then Kyvan Gadsden won because, of course, Kyle Snyder is a Olympic champion. David Taylor's not yet. Hopefully, he becomes one. I think he will if he gets the spot.
Just doesn't ruin his knee at Beat the Streets.
Yeah, of course. But I put that poll. Kyvan Gadsden won. I sent a message to Kyvan Gadsden. I'm like, congratulations, you won this, boy. He's like, no, I disagree, man. That win is 100 times better than mine. And the fact that you have this guy telling me it, he's like more. No, when you put up polls and you 1 versus 2, and both the two guys, they're big. Oh, like the other guy was better. Other guy was better. Like if you're a good kid, you know what I'm saying? Like I put a poll between Jimmy Mullen and Josiah Hill. They both come together, and they just do it not to seem cocky, right? But he was like legitimately like, I know my win was great. He was the biggest win of my career because Kyle Snyder is the guy who's been dominating, who dominated Kyvan Gadsden every time they wrestled on the international level, right? And then being able to pin a guy like that is huge. Of course, to end off your senior season with a pin in the national finals. Because if it was Jaden Cox, I don't think he would have ended up that way. Again, Bubba Jenkins, he actually left Penn State that year. And he came back to David Taylor with that roll through cradle and stick him. Yeah, in the first period.
Well, back on to Bubba Wilson from.
You said Bubba, and it was at 157. So I had to mention Bubba Jenkins.
Bubba Wilson from Nebraska, another guy I don't know much about. Ranked number 30. Is he a freshman? I would assume.
I'm assuming. I don't know who's at 157 for Nebraska last year.
We're just gonna assume he's a freshman. So Bubba Wilson, I don't know. 157 is gonna be an interesting weight this year. I don't really see a hammer at 157.
I think he wins the national title and pins Brady Berge in the finals with the roll through cradle.
Let me hear this.
You know what? That name.
I agree. Watch him pin Brady Berge with a roll through cradle. Watch.
It's not going to be in the national final. That's going to be like around the third.
No, in any match, in the duel, watch.
And that would be insane to see. If that was that rec hall, just looks at Kale afterwards. It's like deja vu right there.
Kale's in tears. David Taylor's in the crowd crying. He's like, not again.
No, but honestly, like David Taylor, he was good enough to be a 4-time national champion. Of course.
Agreed. Thank you,
Met
Kyle.
with the tough draw with Kyle Dake, and Kyle Dake is a 4-time national champion. They've wrestled every time, never really turns out David Taylor's way.
Nah.
And then Bubba Jenkins, you're a freshman, you're wrestling a senior. Seniors, like it's their last chance to get it done. You're a freshman, you're just happy to make it that far.
And you roll through cradle him in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, roll through near side cradles are not that hard to hit. It's the same thing.
And you were at Penn State, and you were like, oh, never mind.
He left Penn State because I think he didn't get the starting spot.
Yeah, because he lost to David Taylor.
And then he comes back to Penn. That's the most savage thing I've ever seen. Bubba Wilson, you were the GOAT. I promise you.
That's like when the backup challenges you to a wrestle-off right before districts and you lose.
Right, that's insane just to think about. I do think Bubba Wilson, honestly, in my opinion, just being completely honest off this whole Bubba Jenkins topic, I don't think he's the guy that's going to qualify for national.
I don't either. He's going to be the missing link for Nebraska. I think
the reason I'm going to say that is because how deep is this 157 weight? You have Ryan Deacon, you have Kendall Coleman for Purdue, you have Brady Berge, who I think is going to be better than him. You have Caleb Young.
Please,
and that's just in the Big Ten,
Caleb Young. If you ever watch this video or ever hear anybody say this to you, please have a good season this year, because you're honestly somebody who I could see being in the national final at 157. Please come.
Honestly, you know what's crazy? I had Ryan Deacon beating Caleb Young last year in the finals.
He is a finalist. He had the talent to be a national finalist.
He does. Maybe some things were going on last year. It just didn't look the same.
It didn't look like it. It didn't look like it. I mean,
there was definitely something wrong with that. I'm not going to say
Brand's at 157, right?
What?
You can see Nelson Brand's at 157 too, right?
184.
Or 184. Oh, he is bigger actually.
Yeah. Again, with a lot of young talent come to 157 field, Deacon's going to be a senior. I think Deacon was the clear-cut favorite to win last year. It's tough to see that happen. His sophomore year, Jason Olf, Tyler Berger exist. Just didn't have a great postseason. Came onto the scene, knocked off James Green in a huge match. That's where people really knew he could do. But people's favorite were still Hayden Hiley because of that one match. Ryan Deacon comes out here, runs the gauntlet through Corey Teamer, dominates him. David Carr dominates him. And Hayden Hiley, three takedowns, 3 skips. That's all it was.
Honestly, I've seen a lot of people saying that we could see David Carr in the finals.
We could definitely see David Carr in the finals. But I'm gonna say Kendall Coleman for the one reason that Kendall Coleman, we haven't seen 2 matches against David Carr and Ryan Deacon. That's the main thing. I think Kendall Coleman versus if the seeds fall away, I think they will, right? Kendall Coleman versus David Carr will be NCAA semifinal match. Yeah, that's what I feel.
All right, so I'm going to agree with you on the fact that we both agree that Bubba Wilson doesn't qualify.
I don't think he will just because of the depth of this weight class, the Big Ten.
All right.
And I'm definitely missing a couple guys,
Yeah.
Illinois might have a guy. Michigan State definitely has somebody at 57.
All right, so that takes us now to 165, where they have Peyton Robb, who pulls the rank number 14 in the nation. Not bad rank for this guy.
All-Americans.
I think so.
I'm going to say that for the straight fact that at this 165-pound weight class, who do we really have,
Mekhi Lewis.
Yeah, no, except for the top 4 guys. Of course, you have Mekhi Lewis, who's going to be the front runner, defending national champ. Alex Marinelli, not really clear-cut number 2, but the number 2 because he beat Vincenzo Joseph. Shane Griffith at number 3. I think Shane Griffith is going to be Alex Marinelli, but we're going to save that, That's not really important right now. And Evan Wick, a guy who's been flying under the radar his entire career, There's always just that 1 or 2 guys just above.
5, 6, 7, and 8 are completely open to anybody else.
100%.
And I think we could see Peyton Robb making a push to break the top 10.
I think he's going to make the podium. No, I don't think there's really going to be a problem about it. Is Josh Shields still in college?
For Arizona State?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Isaiah Waits. Oh, no, yeah. Yeah, he's filling some big shoes to Peyton Robb. Oh, Peyton Robb was 157 last year. He's going to be filling some big shoes, moving up to 165, a weight class with Isaiah White in it. So I think that's going to be a big thing to look forward to. I think they have a similar style. I think a lot of these 165 wrestle a lot more defensively than they should. That's why I'm thinking Mekhi Lewis and Shane Griffith are really the front runners for the weight class. That's just my opinion.
On the seating, where do we see that?
I don't think he pushes his way to fifth or anywhere there yet for the sole fact that I think there's some other guys from outer conferences that are going to make it that far again.
So do you think the semifinal at 65 will be Lewis, Wick, Marinelli, Griffith?
I don't know who wrestles who at this. I think Mekhi Lewis has to get the 1 seed because I don't think Virginia Tech and Iowa will wrestle, right?
Yeah.
If they do, these matches go down. If all these matches were to go down, I think Shane Griffith's or Mekhi Lewis is going to get the 1 seed. Who I think is the best, I'm going to have to go. Mekhi Lewis is going to be the best. Shane Griffith, Alex Marinelli, and Evan Wick. It depends on how the matchups fall, Mekhi Lewis versus Alex Marinelli. I've said this so many times. Mekhi Lewis versus Alex Marinelli can go either way. Shane Griffith versus Evan Wick can go either way. Same body types, a lot of similar wrestling style, I just think Mekhi Lewis has the upper hand on anybody really in this weight class just because he has the ability to wrestle any style in more athletic than most people do.
Definitely.
And he's not a guy you can go upper body with.
No.
Yeah. So that's a big thing. And he's solid on top, as we saw him almost pin Chenzo. That would have been insane if we saw Chenzo get pinned in that match.
That would have been absolutely incredible.
That would just solidify the curse of 165.
Yeah, I mean, it's never been something.
I'm not going to be mad about that because, again, I've seen Mekhi Lewis wrestle in high school, another Jersey boy. And I'm not going to be mad if Shane Griffith knocks off Mekhi Lewis either, another Jersey guy,
Yeah.
Shane Griffith is a guy he was destined to be great,
Yeah.
I think Shane Griffith is the most technical guy in that weight class. It's not even close.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just my opinion. But the main question for me is I think those two are going to be in the national finals if the seeding falls. Hopefully the seeding falls where Mekhi Lewis gets a 1, Shane Griffith gets a 2 or a 3. I think it honestly depends if Shane Griffith's technique and length can counter Mekhi Lewis's athleticism. That's what's going to come down for me. But again, going back to Peyton Robb, he's a guy. It all depends on how tough he is in that blood round. I think he makes it to the blood round, no problem. I don't think 165 is a weight class that is that deep. So I think he makes it to the blood round, no problem. I think he obviously is going to fall in the quarterfinals to one of these top 4 guys. You got to win one match to All-American. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I definitely think
the next one is whatever it is, honestly, at that point. I think that one match is going to boost huge the team score, but it's not death to them if he plays 7th or 8th. But I think if he loses in that wrestleback quarterfinal right there and gets booted to the 7th and 8th match, he has to win. I think if he gets bumped to that 5th and 6th match, if he wins that's just a perk at that point, I think a lot of these guys, again, I've said it so much, Ridge Lovett, Chad Red, and Peyton Robb are guys capable of pulling huge bonus point wins. And that's going to be huge because of the fact that I don't think Bubba Wilson is going to make it to the national tournament.
And, I see this with this Nebraska lineup where it's like you had that strong front. Okay, let's just say it's like a boat. You have the strong front of the boat, the strong back of the boat, and the weak mid. They have a weak middle in the midweights.
Yeah, I think honestly, it's Bubba Wilson, Liam Cronin are always going to be the little bit lower guys. Of course, they're young dudes. Mm-hmm. There's really no way around it. They're not bad. I think they're going to be very tough guys in the years to come. I think Ridge Lovett's extremely underrated. I don't know. Kayvon Davenport's like a Rob Howard for me. It's a boom or bust there, because you've seen some really athletic kids who you think you're going to do very good. Like I thought a guy like Jordan Decatur was going to go was going to shock some people and be another guy in that mix of 133, but he wasn't, and that's just how it is sometimes. So that's why I think. And then you see a guy like David Carr. I didn't think he was going to be in the mix this year. I didn't think a guy like Ja'Cory Team was going to be in the mix this year, but they both were. That's a big thing you can see happening, right? I think Bubba Wilson just may be outclassed right now in this Big Ten tournament. I think there are going to be guys. I think there's really the bids are just not placed where they should be, honestly, because so many upsets are going to go down, and especially in a conference as tough as the Big Ten. I don't think he makes it to nationals.
Mm-mm.
A guy like Peyton Robb, I think he, again, only being two guys, right?
Yeah.
The Big Ten with Alex Marinelli from Iowa and Evan Wick from Wisconsin. I think anything 3 through 5 for those. I think 3 through 5 pretty much have automatic bids, right? In this conference, they might be a little bit different from. Yeah, no, I think they have to be 3. I think you have to have at least 5 bids in this conference.
Yeah.
So I think Peyton Robb gets one of those, no problem.
Of course, yeah.
Seeding is going to be the main thing for me. I don't know how seeding is going to play out. Because you saw the whole Oklahoma thing just break down at nationals because of weight cuts. Guys in like 33 seeds and stuff like that. Like Alex Marinelli had to wrestle, what was it, a 33 seed who he has 7-4 match. A guy who should have been top 5 seed at the weight class up, right? Because you see extreme breakdowns from a lot of these younger guys in nationals. You saw Caden Jaffeller go 0-2 as a 6th seed. Like, things happen, right?
Yeah.
And at these upper weight classes, upsets can happen very easily, you know? So I think Peyton Robb does make the All-American, but I think that 1 spot, 2 spot difference in the All-American are going to be completely crucial to him.
Yeah, I agree. And where do you have him? Where do you have him at? What's your final overlook here? I have him anywhere from 5 to 7.
I have him at 6th.
Yeah. All right, that takes us into where I like to say the start of a possible murderer's row here for Nebraska.
Oh, it's a murderer's row, yeah, because you kind of need 5 for that.
A murderer trio, where you have 174 Michael Labriola, ranked number 3 in the nation.
I think Mikey Labriola is again, I think we all know who these guys are if you made this far into the video. You have Mikey Labriola at 174, Taylor Venz at 184, and Eric Schultz at 197. They've been 3 staples in this wrestling program all 4 years of their career, right?
Yeah.
I don't think all of them started all 4 years, but, they've been extremely tough guys, not guys that put a lot of bonus points unless you put them against, like, worse guys, but they're guys who are going to grind, get those wins for you against high-level dudes, and be very consistent. Taylor Venz, we saw a little bit breakdown from him, but Aaron Brooks was coming in with some heat that match, He does have a win against Aaron Brooks, though, so that's something we got to take into account. Right?
Yeah.
At 174, who do we have there? We have we don't know who yet from Michigan, right? I think Moss is going to be the guy, right? It's just a better opportunity to place higher just for team points right now. Cam and Armenia throw them, get their All-American, which you talked about last episode.
Yeah, go check out last episode. We talked about with Massa.
If Moss is in the weight class, Moss gets the 1 seed. It all depends on how Big Ten's play out. However the Big Ten plays out, that's how this is going to play out.
So is Kemmerer still in?
Kemmerer's senior now. Kemmerer's old, taking 2 red shirts, been injured a couple times. Kemmerer looked great at 174, up from 157, honestly.
Yeah, I think he needed to get a little bit bigger.
Yeah, he just looked better up a weight, which you don't really see that often.
Up 2 weights, right?
Mikey Labriola has been a guy. He's had his struggles, but I really think this is the season if he puts it together. I think he's the number 3 guy in the country. I don't see him getting upset by anybody. I'm going to change that right for Peyton Robb. I think he goes 7th. I think Kenny Monday and the guy's name was like just my head. What am I doing? Kenny Monday and somebody else go 5th and 6th, but yeah, going right back to you. Again, I don't see him getting upset because who are the other guys in that weight class at 174? There are a lot of good guys, but I don't really think any of them are up in the caliber like Kemmerer.
It's okay. Here's
Logan Massa and him are.
If we see Massa, it's gonna be Kemmerer, Massa, and Labriola. If we see me,
I'm
It's
going
gonna
to say
be Cameron
Carter
Labriola.
from Penn State. He's the guy. Never count Penn State out. We've learned that.
Oh yeah, what's his name again?
Carter Sorochi.
Singletary, yeah.
5 right now. What I think is, if any outsider, except for these three, win national title, it's going to be him. And we're going to see that at Big Tens, which is going to be great. And we're going to see the top 4 guys in the country from the Big Ten. That's just amazing because you get to see all these matches go down throughout the season, you know?
So what do you think in Labriola? Where are you putting him?
I'm going to put him at 3 for now. The lowest he goes is 4. The only thing I can say that is Sorochi's the outside guy. Right?
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
There was a filthy 174 from one of these conferences. Just help me think for a second. I know is McFadden up at 74 now?
I think so.
He might be up at 174. He cut to 65 last season because Mekhi Lewis taking that red shirt, you know? He's a guy who's going to come up big for Virginia Tech.
Caleb Romero from Ohio State. Caleb Romero from Ohio State, Carter Sorochi, Samuel Colbray.
Sammy Colbray from Iowa State. He's the one I'm talking about. You saw him up at 184 last season. He's a guy, if he comes down, was he
Fine Silver from Duke.
Who?
Fine Silver from Duke.
Oh, ACC, that's what I'm talking about. I keep forgetting what week I see. He could go either 65 or 74. We really do not know yet. If he goes 74, he's going to be I don't think he's an outside threat, but I think he can very well sneak in that third, fourth match pretty easily, right? But I think whoever makes the finals is going to declare that in the Big Ten finals, right? Top 2 in the Big Ten finals, I think is going to be national finals. Unless we see an insane semifinal match.
Yeah.
The only way I see this happen.
You've got
I'm going to say
Massa Labriola from the Big Ten, Sorochi from the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. Then you have Colbray from the Big 12. Oh, Romero's from the Big 10 too. Caleb Romero.
I don't think Romero is going to be a guy that's good. I don't think he's a guy that can put up that many points that quickly.
Fine Silver's from the ACC, so honestly, I don't see anybody from the ACC.
Chris Foca from Cornell.
Chris Foca, yeah.
He's ranked a little bit lower, EIWA kid. I think he's a guy that people are sleeping on, you know. He had a fantastic redshirt season. You know, a guy like Sorochi, he had a solid redshirt, you know. Chris Foca had a solid redshirt too. Just wasn't as dominant in the matches as he needed to be. I think he comes into his own this year in All-Americans. But, again, we're about Mikey Labriola. I think Labriola is in that third, fourth match guaranteed at least that high. But I think there's a possibility he gets into the finals. You know, that all depends, again, how the team is doing, right? He's the start of Murderer's Row. If he does good, so will Taylor Vance and so will Eric Schultz. And Christian Lance is a big wild card for me, you know? So I think top 4 for sure.
That's wild. I'm just looking here on WrestleStat, and they have Cornell ranked 23.
You want to know why that is? Because you have to consider they go by like all these bids in the national tournament. I think a lot of guys can place higher than they will, right? Darmstadt is ranked kind of off. Max Dean, Yanni Diakomahalis, Vito, Luis Fernandez is going to be the guy to come up big. I promise you. And all these EIWA is a little bit easier to qualify out of, you know. Yeah. EIWA, Pac-12, ACC, and SoCon.
Yeah.
You know, big things can happen here, really, for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's for Mikey Labriola. We'll jump up to 184. We're ranked number 8. I think a little bit low is going to be Taylor Vance, right? Taylor Vance has been the guy. It's either debatable as him or Shadward, you know, but Taylor Vance has been the guy. Yeah. He has a win over Aaron Brooks. He has a win over Cameron Caffey, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
And he has a win over Abe Assad. I think this 184 weight class, I think the top 5 are separated themselves from the pack, you know. We're going to have Miles Amin, Max Dean coming out of redshirt, which is going to be the big things boosting that Cornell program and that Michigan program coming to nationals, right? You have Aaron Brooks coming off a stellar season last year, ranked 3rd in the country like he should, ranked 3rd in the country like he should be. You have guys like Cameron Caffey who won the hot streak last year, right? And then you have basically the staples, right? You have guys like Lou Dupre from Binghamton, and you have guys like Trent Hiley. And then you're going to have Taylor Vens behind him. I know there's one other guy ranked in there. I don't really know who it is right now. Abe Assad is ranked up there, And that's really the way to look at it. But I think a guy like Taylor Vens is going to beat Cameron Caffey. I think he's just too technical and too tough to let Cameron Caffey play that match that close just based on athleticism, like he did with Brooks.
Hunter Bolin from Virginia Tech.
Hunter Bolin from Virginia Tech is the guy I was talking about. Him, I don't think he beats Taylor Vens. Taylor Vens is the guy I think puts together a top 4 season.
And Nino Bonacarzio.
Nino Bonacorski. Again, he's a guy who's very tough, very athletic, very strong. But I think Taylor Vens has like the straight power. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not jacked or athletic. He's just straight power he produces. A guy like Jacob Warner, right? And a guy like what's his name? Mason Parrish produces straight power out of his frame.
You gotta think about the lower ranked guys. Number 16 rank is Rocky Jordan from Ohio State.
Yeah, again, I just think these top guys are separate. Rocky Jordan's a freshman, right?
Yeah.
Again, freshmen are going to be ranked lower, I don't think he breaks his way into the top 4 yet, but I think he's a guy who can All-American, But talking about Taylor Vens, I'm going to go with my gut. I think Miles Mean wins this weight class. I don't think there's any way around it. He's the toughest guy. He's most consistent. He's not a guy you're going to score points on easily. And even if he does get beat, he's not going to be opened up. The only guy I've ever seen open up Miles Mean is really Zahid Valencia. And that was only by like 2-3 points. Goes to overtime with Mark Hall. Tough guy for anybody to wrestle. Max Dean had that stellar win over Miles Martin the last time. Ended up falling to Drew Foster. That was just Drew Foster's tournament, capping off an amazing career. Drew Foster never won a state title in high school, and he's a national champion. It's one of the greatest, most overlooked stories I've seen.
Definitely. Yeah. All right, so where do you have Taylor Vens?
We have a guy like Aaron Brooks, who I think Aaron Brooks pinning Taylor Vens last year. I can't really go up against it. It wasn't like one of those Mason Parrish, Tony Cassidy wins. Aaron Brooks just asserted his dominance. It was his tournament. He was on fire to win. I do think that match could go any way, though. You can't just go based on one guy pinning another. If one guy catches another guy on his back in college, you're getting pinned for the most part. Right?
Yeah. So where do you have Taylor Vens finishing?
I have to have Taylor Vens going 4th.
I'm going to agree from 4 down anywhere, yeah.
I do think there's a chance that he could be taken out by a guy like Cameron Caffey. If Caffey can put together a stellar season like he did last year, I do have to say, however, though, that's very unlikely. That he puts together that hot of a season. But I think Cameron Caffey, his confidence has skyrocketed to a point where he's
with those guys.
Yeah. But there's some guys that you can't be overconfident on, and then you're going to get hit right to your back with some moves.
All right, Taylor Vens, everyone. That takes us to 197, where we have ranked number 6 in the nation, Eric Schultz. Another guy that's going to have to come.
I'm going to say first, before we talk about anything about Eric Schultz, is 197 is a complete mess. We have a guy like Noah Adams, number 1. Noah Adams is good. Don't get me wrong. Everybody keeps coming at me because I don't think he's going to place. That's just the way it is. The biggest story here is going to be Chase Singletary again making the cut from heavyweight to 197. Something you're going to have to establish with every guy. He's ranked very low, though, for some reason because he's making the cut. Didn't wrestle last year, lost spot to Gary Traub. Interesting things happening. But I think 197 is his weight class where he's going to perform a lot better than he did at heavyweight. The veteran's going to have to be Ben Darmstadt from Cornell. He's a junior. A guy who's been up there before. And guys like Pat Bruckey and Jacob Warner had disappointing seasons last year. And then you throw a guy like Eric Schultz in the mix, who's been very consistent. So I think if it does come down to it, Eric Schultz is a guy who could place – Eric Schultz is a guy who can win the thing. And that's really interesting to see because 197 is really only the weight class who you don't have a defined top anything, really.
That was wild.
What?
They have Cameron Caffey ranked 3 at 197. Can we see a move from him?
On flow?
Yeah.
I don't want to take that into account. I think if Cameron Caffey's a 197, Ben Darmstadt wins the weight class. I think I have Cordell Norfleet winning the weight class from Arizona
We
State.
have Tanner Sloan, too, from South Dakota State.
He's always been a 197. I think Tanner Sloan's a guy. He's a small school guy. Maybe he puts it together. I doubt it because you have got these bigger school guys running with the hype, you know. I think Michael Beard is the guy to look out for. I really can't give anything on this. I'm going to say my top three that I picked last time. I'm going to stay with that because I really have no insight. All I have is how I think guys are going to perform next year. I think this weight class you're going to see coming back into his own. There's going to be a guy putting himself on the top, and it's not going to be a senior. I don't think it's going to be Pat Brookie. That's tough to say. Pat Brookie looks like this guy's been cutting a lot of weight. You may see move up to heavyweight from Pat Brookie. I'm just going to say that. A lot of people don't think it, but you might see it. They're heavyweight, just graduated, so, you know. But looking at this weight class, I have Cornell Norfleet from Arizona State going first. Put up some good matches last year. Blast through Cornell, put 9 points on Colin Moore. He can score points. He has a good re-attack game. He's very athletic, very strong. And I've seen his confidence skyrocket throughout the year, right? He won a MAC title, Arizona State. Whatever type, Pac-12 title. My bad.
Pac-12.
Yeah. And then a guy like Ben Darmstadt is going to be the veteran. But I've seen guys like Darmstadt be a struggle cutting weight. They get a little bit slower. They get beat up by the smaller guys. They try to go for funk and stuff. I think Norfleet's going to be a little bit too athletic to – athleticism beats funk. There's no real way around that, you know? And he's not exactly Ben Askren with it. He's a little guy, you know. He could very end up pinning everybody in the weight class, you know. But he's also a guy who can get pinned. He dropped some tough losses at 184 last year. I think he's there. I think Chase Singletary is making the cut down from 197. He comes out there in All-Americans. He either goes third or he wins it. That's all I'm going to say there, right? But then you have the guys like Noah Adams, Nina Bonakorski, Tanner Sloan from South Dakota State, Pat Brookie, Jacob Warner, Michael Beard.
Yeah, I think we definitely have to watch out for Michael Beard. No one really knows how he's going to perform.
He had a solid season. He's not a guy that puts up a lot of points, but he's a guy that doesn't let points get scored on him. I think that's going to be a big thing for Penn State next year. You're not going to see them pushing bonus points as much, except for guys like Nick Lee, Romero. You're going to see a shift with Penn State to their lower weights and some of their mid-upper weights, such as Carter Starochi and Aaron Brooks. You're not going to see much at the heavyweight. You don't know, right? Because you have Greg Kirkfield there. You don't know how Greg Kirkfield is going to do. Greg Kirkfield's a guy, again, boomer bust. I hate to say it, but I think he's a boom guy. He's going to go All-American very high. But there's also people saying he's not even going to get the starting spot, you know? Maybe Neville has a glove. Hopefully he does, you know? Neville's this guy. I've watched their whole family wrestle, you know? They're the best heavyweight wrestling family of all time. Hands down. You know, again, Penn State, Carter Starochi coming in. He's going to be guys that needs to come up big for them, right? In a weight class where there's no real defined Michigan or Cornell guy yet. The Iowa guy is up there. It's really going to be a big thing. So, yeah.
I mean, just looking at some Michael Beard stats, I mean, he had an undefeated redshirt freshman season.
Yeah, but the thing about that is, like, you don't know, like, unless you see who he actually beat in the season. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah, I'm looking here.
This guy, I think, could come out and win the weight class to be the next four-timer for Penn State because Aaron Brooks didn't have that chance.
I mean, we have a guy.
Has there been a four-timer in Penn State history?
The number 15 ranked guy from Lehigh. He made your decision 20 to 8. Huh?
You have a name?
Chris Weller.
Okay, yeah, no, he's solid.
Yeah, he
Has there been a four-timer in Penn State history? No, right? I don't think so. Ed Ruth is a three-timer. Zane Rutherford's a three-timer. Jason Olf's a three-timer. Bo Nichols a three-timer. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Wait, here, let me see.
It could have been Anthony Cassar too. Be the next four-timer. He gets the spot at 97. I think he wins it, but that's fine. David Taylor's a two-timer. Yeah, Zane's a three-timer. He lost in the semis to Logan Sieber. Are you looking at it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, rough losses, though, you know. I think most of them are 4-time finalists too. You know,
Yeah.
and again that freshman jitters a little bit. Bo Nickel, you know, Miles Martin came out and fired. Miles Martin didn't end off his career the way you wanted. You know, same thing with Mark Hall. I think Michael Beard's the guy. Might be the guy. You know,
Fun fact: there's only one, two,
3.
three, four. There's only four timers.
Pat Smith, Cale Sanderson, Kyle Dake, and somebody else.
Stieber.
Oh yeah, Logan Stewart, my bad.
That's it.
Yeah, there's only there's only 2 undefeated ones, right?
Sanderson and Dake.
Dake's not undefeated.
Oh yeah, not Dake. Pat Smith.
Is Pat Smith the guy on the Greco World team?
Yes.
Or is it a different Pat Smith?
Isn't Pat Smith the coach at Oklahoma State?
John Smith.
That's it's his brother, right? His younger brother.
Oh, I don't know.
I think so. Back to the topic of Nebraska.
And heavyweight, because it's a heavyweight thing. We got the boy Christian Lance ranked number 27.
We have our opinions on Christian Lance. We did a little research on him before we started, and he's a strong kid.
775 by 5 on the trap bar deadlift. That is insane.
Insane. But sadly, wrestling's not a powerlifting competition, so
Yeah.
you can be super strong and have no technique, and you get bodied.
You know, you saw guys like Gable pick him apart. You see the top guys just pick him apart.
This isn't a guy that I see break.
When it comes to it, he's going to take the tough matches. So I don't want to
breaking the copy. I don't see him making the podium. I do see him qualifying. I see him maybe make the round of 16.
I don't see him qualifying.
You know?
Do you know who's in the Big Ten?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're going to have Gable Steveson, just the way it's ranked. Gable Steveson, Greg Kirkfleet, Tony Cassiope, Mason Paris, Trent Hilger.
Do you know how many
Gary Traub, Thomas Pinola from Purdue. And that's already 7 right there. I think you only get 7 bids.
Yeah.
And I think the last wild card from the Big Ten was Sam Stoll because he choked terribly, dude.
Yeah.
That's Sam Stoll. That's returning All-American. And he got 28 seed. It was weird. He knocked off Mason Parrish. It was interesting. I don't think he qualifies, sadly.
I don't think so either.
I think Gary Traub comes into his own next year, but I think Gary Traub is low too. I think it falls between him and Gary Traub getting into that 5-6 match. Traub knocks him out very easily. And then I think Seth Neville is going to take a spot in the last. Oh, wait, no. We have Kirk in the thing.
Kirk.
Michigan State dude. I think Christian Ribitaro actually takes it. The final bid at 7th. For Michigan State. The Illinois has Lucas Luffman, who's another very good dude. I think he's very good. What?
You got Orndorff.
I think Gary Traub gets a spot over Orndorff, you know. That's just my opinion on it. He's a starter last year. I'm going to rock with my boy.
Yeah. Big 12's also loaded with decent heavyweights.
Who? Isn't
yeah, Big 12's got some good heavyweights.
Who? Oh, EIWA. We're all sleeping on that, you know.
Yeah, Yaroslav Savakuski,
Jordan Wood, and Luis Fernandez.
Stencil's getting the bid from the MAC.
Stencil's the guy. John Spalding is the guy we can't sleep on. He did get handled, you know, by Stencil in the finals 11-0. It was honestly just Stencil asserting his dominance physically.
A.J. Neville's is somebody you could see from the Big 12.
Fresno, what team's in the SoCon?
I don't even know.
Isn't the SoCon? I thought the SoCon was like Duke.
I think it
was like Air Force and stuff like that.
I think it is just Duke.
Duke is in the ACC.
Oh, California Baptist University.
Oh, and Cal Poly and that stuff.
Cal Poly, yeah. Zach Schrader from California Baptist.
Yeah.
SoCon. Oh,
Yeah,
Southern
yeah.
California. Oh,
Guy to
so
watch out for this weight class is going to be Deontay Wilson from NC State.
or Luis Fernandez from Cornell.
Yeah, but I think he isn't even ranked. Jersey boys are coming. That Jersey recruiting class.
And
Lewis coming in. Rob Howard's coming in. Chris Folk is coming in. I think Rob Kennard from Rutgers at 165 is we got to watch out for. He lost to Shane Griffith like 6-1, I think, or something like that, in the state finals.
I think, yeah, I mean, if you see him qualify, he's not gonna be on the podium.
I
Not
don't know. I don't even know who. Oh, Boone McDermott is going to a JUCO dude going to Rutgers, a heavyweight. He could. I don't think he beats any of these guys, but I think he could take one of those last bids in the national tournament. Zach Knight and Ward from Hofstra.
Yeah. So just an overall recap on Nebraska. I have them in the team race, taking either that 5th or 6th spot.
Yeah, but finals opinion on Christian Lance though, I don't have him qualifying.
I don't either.
And that's tough. The two guys who don't have qualifying are going to be Bubba Wilson and Christian Lance.
Yeah.
I think Liam Cronin, they get bids pretty easily, right? Kayvon Davenport, he could very well All-American, or he could not place, or he could just not qualify.
I think overall Nebraska is going to have a solid lineup, a young team again, like most of these colleges, like Cornell, like Michigan, young team. Same thing with Ohio State. Penn State's going to have a young lineup. You're going to see these teams prosper and grow for the years to come. It's just going to be who has the better prepared freshman.
Yeah, of course. I think Penn State has to be the front runner in that sense. I might even be changing my opinions as I was looking at it. I think Penn State
with Neville's, Snyder,
Kassar,
the
other Neville's,
probably roll around with Nickel.
The other Neville's, Nick Neville's.
Yeah, Nick. He's probably rolling around. Let's be completely honest.
You also have to consider guys like Ed Ruth are going to be in the room. Guys like Jimmy Lawson, the other heavyweight before Nick Neville's.
Those guys. Once you think about like these guys that not a lot of people realize about Penn State. Me being someone who's been there, has seen how it is. That's a family atmosphere. Yeah. Once you graduate, you're welcomed back whenever you want. Yeah. Ed Ruth came to the camp the first.
The fact that even after the whole Nick Sirianno thing, I saw Nick Sirianno just talking to Gail, just chilling.
Yeah.
Like there's no bad blood there, because he just wanted to go back, He literally basically said, "Screw the team, I'm out. I'm going back to Jersey." He's like, Penn State did whatever they could to make it not happen. I don't know what that was about. I don't think he was trying to throw shade there, but it's just like Nick Sirianno has a different way of expressing himself. I think if Sirianno was still at Penn State, it could make me.
That's always a weight they struggle in is 125. Always.
But he had some huge shoes full of Nico Megaludis, It worked out for the better for him, honestly. He won a national title. Nick Sirianno is not a guy who needs practice partners to get better. He's just so mentally ingrained in it that it's just crazy to see what he does.
All right, so what's your overall view? Where do you see Nebraska going?
Honestly, I could see Penn State knocking off Michigan for the title. Think about this. Rob Howard makes an All-American run, takes 5th. 4th, actually. That's fair. Right? Because I don't even know if Brandon Pates was going to get this bowl. It could be Mitch Polito, who Rob Howard beat in the state finals his sophomore year. Right? And then it goes like that. 133. Ron Bravion could very well win. Got a lot of people counting. He's made some huge improvements. I don't know if he beats those guys, but he very well could take that 3rd spot, knock off Dayton Fix, knock off Sebastian Rivera. I don't think he's knocking off Micic. 141, Nick Lee can knock off Yanni. I'm going to say it. People don't think he will, but Yanni's not a guy too dominant on his feet. Yanni's a scrambler, likes to wrestle in grounded situations. 149, Gerard Verkleen can very well break the All-American, If he's a guy who can learn how to get those attacks off and keep his defense strong, right there. Brady Berge can make the round of 16, round of 24, right? Mm-hmm. Wins a match. Huge for team score. Joe Lee, you don't know how he's going to turn out. He could pull – I can't stress enough. 165. after Micaiah Lewis, Alex Marinelli, Shane Griffith, Evan Wick,
Open to anyone.
Kenny Monday is so wide open that nobody even people don't understand how wide open this is. You see guys, I think you're gonna see guys moving in there across the thing. I think I don't think Joe Leopold's an All-American yet, just being a true freshman or redshirt freshman. I think he wins 1 or 2 matches nationals. I think he qualifies for nationals without a problem though.
Yeah, he's gonna qualify.
And then on 174, Carter Strachey. Again, could very well come out and win the thing.
He's definitely an All-American.
I think he takes fourth though.
He
takes fourth. I think he knocks the fights over for Duke, no problem though. And 184, another national champion bid, right? There. 97. Huge wild card. Michael Beard is the one guy out of those pack that showed consistency. And Chase Singletary. Michael Beard could very well win the national title. And that heavyweight, Kirkley, I'm going to play that way he can. Cassar still has a year of eligibility left, just so you all know.
Does he actually?
Yeah. I'm just going to make that clear.
He does, right?
Yeah.
He didn't wrestle 1 year.
Last year was his junior year, and I think he's done with wrestling now. But if he does, you know what pissed me off so much? Nick Sirianno. If Nick Sirianno was still at Penn State and Anthony Cassar wrestled, Penn State knocks off Iowa, no problem. I think Nick Sirianno beats Spencer Lee in the national finals if he was still at Penn State, sophomore year.
I mean, Spencer Lee could have went to Penn State, but he didn't. So
I don't know. Spencer just doesn't fit in with Iowa. Neither does Tony Cassiope. They don't fit in with the whole mood I think of when I think of Iowa wrestling.
All right, guys.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's been Nebraska.
Yeah. So this has been episode 14 of Late Night Shots. Talking about the Nebraska lineup. We both have them placing 5th, right?
Hey, our next video may have a special guest. We're not completely sure. We don't have it completely sealed, signed, and ready to go. But next episode, you may see a special guest, a special interview.
Yeah, a very special person in the heavyweight community, you know. He's from the Big Ten, and he's a heavyweight. That's all I'm going to say right now. He's a guy that had a lot of hype last year. That narrows down to about 2 or 3 guys, I think. Yeah. Now, this has been episode 14 of Late Night Shots, talking about Nebraska. Both have them placing 5th. This video should be dropping May 30th at 3 p.m. Where it's about 3 o'clock in the morning right now. Apparently, optimum posting time is 3 p.m., so, you know.
3 p.m. Check it out.
All right, so this is it. Peace.
Peace.